Right. All right. Welcome, everyone. We're just giving it a few minutes before the top of the hour before we start. If you want to share in the chat, and so we make sure it works, where you're dialing in from this morning, or it could be this afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Doesn't feel like it already is. We'll just make sure it works. Oh, there we go. All right, Portland. All right, we're on the West Coast so far here. Bay Area. All right. Oh, there we go. Now we got East Coast, Florida. Welcome, Anthony. All right. Got East Coast, West Coast. Everybody's still coming in. Welcome, everyone. If you're just walking in the door, walking in the Zoom door, share in the chat where you're dialing in from. You want Southern Cal. You're just like, let me just leave that broad. That's a lot of territory there. We always say if you're in Los Angeles, we have to actually say your specific neighborhood. I was just in Sacramento a few weeks ago for a conference. Right. So giving it a few minutes. All right, Donna. Hi. I was just in the Central Coast, just came back from SLO. Spent the birthday weekend there. Hawaii. Aloha, Jerry. Welcome. Orange County. I was gonna say not in sunny. I don't know. I'm near about a mile from the beach here in Venice, and it's pretty overcast. But it was like that in Morro Bay when I was there this weekend. Only sunny and we're inland, right? Riverside. All right. So we got California represented. Everybody get out, make sure you vote today if you didn't already vote. Get the votes out. All right, Puerto Rico. Love Puerto Rico. Got to get back there. All right, welcome. We're just still everybody, if you're just coming in the room, we're just sharing in the chat where we're from, where you're dialing in from. Anything else you want to share? You want to share your information, share your LinkedIn profile or anything here. This is a good time to network as well. And I think we're going to get started. There we go. Welcome, everybody.
Did you know that small business clients who receive 3+ hours of mentoring report higher revenues and increased business growth? At SCORE Orange County, we're proud to contribute to this success. This past year, our webinars, workshops, and resources have helped launch over 200 businesses and create over 3,000 jobs. This short video will introduce you to the heart of our program, our mentors and mentees, and their inspiring stories of growth and achievement. Are you looking for that ultimate business advantage? Navigating the world of business can feel like a maze. But what if there was a guiding hand to help you unlock your business's true potential? Look no further than SCORE of Orange County. We have the secret sauce you've been searching for. Free business mentoring tailored exactly to your needs. That's right, at no cost. Our mentors aren't just any professionals. They are experts in every field, from tech to retail, finance to marketing.
When I first started my company, I did not know how to run a business. Right away, I got connected with SCORE, and they taught me everything I needed to know. How to write a marketing plan, how to read a profit and loss statement, and how to write a business proposal. My SCORE mentor could not have been better. She had my back from the start. She was non-judgmental, and I could talk to her about anything I needed to go over. I couldn't be more grateful for my time with SCORE. Thank you, SCORE.
It's time to rise above the rest and conquer your goals. Embrace the SCORE advantage. Unlock your next chapter and request your no-cost SCORE mentor. Visit our website or give us a call, because with SCORE, your success story starts now.
All right. I always love that, watching that video. All right, everybody, find a mentor. Here you go. Spread the word, find a mentor. I'm going to share my slides. We're going to go on to the actual presentation here. Just give me one quick second. Okay. And I think everything is working now. We don't have a black border around our slides anymore. There we go. Is everybody seeing? Oh, you know what? I have the wrong class. Hold on one second. That would be interesting. I think I had that one up behind my presentation. I'm glad I saw that. That did feel wrong. Okay, there it is. Okay, sorry about that, folks. All right. Wonder if anybody would have noticed right away. There we go. Marketing Plan 101. We got the right one up. So welcome everyone. So, oops, there we go. So just a little bit about me. If you haven't, some of you may have met me at least virtually in some of these classes. So I have been in the online space, as you can see here, for a million years. Back working with a gourmet gift basket company up in the San Francisco Bay Area. And they were a traditional catalog and retail business. And I launched their e-commerce business for them way back then, and turned into a multi-million-dollar part of their business. This is actually year 22, off and on in the wine industry. Still have a few winery clients, but I do work with all types of businesses, as you see here, in the business to business, business to consumer, as well as business to government space. And I do teach for score chapters. I just can't get, I have Monday twisted twisted talk on a Tuesday. So I teach for score chapters all over the country. Today is for Orange County here in California. I teach for SBDCs and women's business centers, chambers. You'll find me somewhere out in the universe of teaching during the week. And I also always recommend, if you can, serve your local business community. I serve here on the Venice. This is Venice in California, not Venice, Florida. The Chamber of Commerce, serve on the board. I serve for the National Association of Women Business Owners here in Los Angeles, and as well as BizFed Los Angeles, an organization that serves business organizations. So if you get a chance, serve on a committee, a board, whatever it is that would work for you, helps your business community as well as your business. So that is me. So now we'll start talking about marketing. So did you know that 50% of small businesses do not have a documented marketing plan? It might be some of you in the room. It might be why you're here. And it's important because you're 30% more likely to experience growth than those without. So you're smart to be here if you don't already have one, and that's why you showed up. So hopefully, I would say by the end of the class, but after the class, you'll work on your marketing plan and have one in short order, right? So the world of marketing and advertising, I share this in all my classes, right? Where do we go to spend our time and money? And that's why you have a marketing plan to figure that out, right? Not all of these are going to be appropriate for everybody's businesses. It depends on budget and where your audience is, right? Traditional marketing, advertising, TV, radio, print ads, billboards, direct mail, PR, promotional products, swag. Networking can be offline and online. And then, of course, you have your ever expanding digital world. So websites we've had for quite a few decades now, followed by internet advertising, social media. We're at year 26, I think now. If we go back to MySpace and all that. Facebook, I think, is 23, 24 now. We have email marketing has been around longer than that. Constant Contact started in 1995. SEO and GEO, generative engine optimization, right? We have AI integrated with SEO, with the search engines. Blogging, right? Text and Wi-Fi marketing, a little bit newer on the scene compared to these others. Affiliate marketing, I did for that gift basket company I mentioned way back. How many years ago was that? So it's been around 25 years at least, right? Social media influencers, right? So where do you go, right? What's appropriate? Where should you spend that time and money? So hopefully this will give you a little bit of help with figuring that out. So this on the left, I found this on LinkedIn, and top reasons startup fail. And as I was looking at the reasons, I said, well, a lot of these are tied into marketing. So I explain why I think that is on the right. Right, ran out of cash, failed to raise new capital. That would be a business plan, right? Or even a marketing plan. Did you have a plan in place before you spent the cash? No market need, right? Did you do any market research before you went out there with your product or service? Got out competed. Did you do any competitor research? Also usually a part of a marketing and a business plan. And then a flawed business model, again, did you have a business plan in place? Talk to SCORE. If you haven't done a business plan, find a mentor. Regulatory legal challenges could be, could be how, if you have some new challenges, how you get out there and market around them. That could be a bigger picture for your business. Pricing and cost issues. That's one of the 4 P's of marketing basics, right? It's pricing. So very important, very tricky, products or services, making sure you have the right pricing so you're not losing any money and you're making some profit, hopefully. Not the right team, right? And that could be overall, but just specifically talking about marketing. Do you have the right people for marketing? Right? Are you relegating it off to somebody like, I just have an office person, she can kind of figure out social media, or I'll have my 17-year-old daughter do the marketing for me because she's really good at creating Instagram reels. Make sure you have the right people who know what they're doing. This is how you make your money, right? You have to do the marketing to make the money. Product mistime could be market research, knowing, understanding the market when you put a product out there. This one marketing cannot overcome, right? You can market it to start, but if it turns out it's a poor product or service, you need to fix that, not the marketing, right? Disharmony among team and investors. Disharmony could lead to poor marketing strategy execution. I've been in that situation before. Not only say marketing, but what the customers want versus what, say, the business side wants versus the say the executors. It was a software company, so the developers were kind of making business decisions based on what they wanted to program, not necessarily what was more important for the businesses. So making sure everybody's on the same page with your business. Pivot gone bad. Right, we heard that word a lot during COVID times. So year one, everybody had to pivot and do something different. But that's still, even if you're pivoting now, make sure you've done some research, right? We tend to get, I call it ESS, entrepreneurial squirrel syndrome, right? So I have a friend, I call him Squirrel, because he's always launching something new, doing something different. Got to wait to see what the first couple squirrels are doing, feed them, care for them. Everybody all need love and attention and food and caring. So if you're doing lots of squirrels, make sure you can handle all of the squirrels, right? Burned out, lack of passion. That's just in general, right? By being an entrepreneur, it's a lot of work. It's hard. So making sure that you have the right people and you're doing the right thing. You love what you do, of course, so all important. So, right, very important that we have all this figured out before we go into business. Or if you don't and you're already in business, definitely take that time to figure it out. And just one more housekeeping thing as I was moving around the chat and Q&A. We do have both a Q&A and a chat. So if you have any questions during the presentation, drop them in the Q&A. Any comments, if you want, you can network in the chat. Someone already did. Anna already dropped in her LinkedIn. Dropped in your LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn company page, your website address. You never know who's in the room. And I would love to know. Share what you do. Share what your business is and who you serve. Again, you never know who can collaborate, connect, and maybe be a customer if you share your information. So feel free to network. And there we go. And then use the Q&A if you have any questions, and I'll answer them along the way. And say if we have more, we'll save time for the end as well. So reasons you need a marketing plan. I already mentioned, right? Maximizes your budget and return on investment, right? If you have a plan in place, you definitely want to do that. Creates consistency, right? You'll hear that C word a lot with marketing. Got to be consistent, telling people what you do over and over and over again. But of course, telling the right people, the right place, the right time, all of that. And then encourages deeper thought about your business and marketing. So, right, I kind of already mentioned some of the startup failure reasons, but a lot of things can affect our business, right? The weather can affect some of our businesses, the supply chain, the economy, right? A lot of different things can affect it. So being aware of what's happening locally, regionally, nationally, globally, so that you can react to it. Maybe hopefully not react, but be proactive with it. Because some things we can't help, right? The weather changes and affects our business. We can't really affect that. But just being aware of what's going on so you're not caught, without the umbrella in the rain, right? Unifies your team. So if you have a team, it should be all on the same page, making sure the right people are making business decisions and marketing decisions. And then just improves your chances of actually accomplishing your marketing goals. Having a written business plan and a written marketing plan, very important. Okay. All right. So why marketing feels hard? Is it anybody it feel hard for? Raise your hand, say yes in chat. When you're like, I just don't like this marketing thing. Got some hand raises. All right. It's okay. No shame in that at all. Because it can be hard, right? There's too many options. So then you have a scattered effort, right? You don't know this is most important. You're unclear who your audience is. So then you're trying to speak to everybody, which means you're probably speaking to nobody, right? Again, you don't have a plan in place, so you're inconsistent because you just are trying to fly by the seat of your pants marketing. You're not tracking, you're not looking at your analytics and your numbers to see what's working and not working. So that's why it could feel hard, right? So hopefully we could figure out how not to make it feel so hard, right? Having a plan in place. So the 6 decisions every marketing plan must answer. This is pretty simple. And just to say, you're going to get from SCORE, you'll get the recording, the slides, my content calendar. Actually, I have the link on in the slides, but I also have the marketing plan worksheets to kind of go along with this. So you can fill them out afterwards, print them out, handwrite them out, whatever you want to do, help guide you with this. So that will come after your the class, so you don't have to worry about it right now. It says Donna says some marketing comes easy and other types hard. Yeah, true. That's true. Some are easier for others. Some people like doing their marketing. Others just I don't want to touch it. Right. Just like how I feel about doing my bookkeeping. I do it, but I really don't want to do it. So 6 decisions. Who are we trying to reach? Right? Who's your buyer? Who's your audience? What do they need and want? Right? The problem and the outcome from their problem. Why you should say why us, but why you versus alternatives, right? So your positioning, your unique selling proposition, right? Social, your proof. What should we say? What's the message by buyer stage, right? Where will we show up? So the channels, right? Where you're going to show up. And how we know it's working, looking at the metrics. It's pretty basic, right? I'm going to keep repeating this stuff because it is pretty basic, right? Let's see. So Laura said, I'm not sure if it's me, but I can't see what others are saying in the chat. It only says only. Oh, so switch. You should switch it on the bottom to say everyone. That might be the problem. Yeah. So it usually defaults to hosts and panelists. So you want to switch it to everyone, and you should see. Let me just see if there's anything here. Oh wait. Panelists can chat with everyone. Attendees can chat. Oh, there we go. I'm going to change that to you can chat with everyone. Okay, perfect. Okay, so you should, if you put in any links in the chat for, your LinkedIn or whatever, please put them in again now because they only would have gone to the hosts and panelists. So try it now and everybody, there you go. Everybody should be everyone. Perfect. All right. Thank you for that. A little housekeeping. All right. You never know. Everything always changes with Zoom. So you never know what settings you're on. Even after 6 years, they're still changing things. Okay. So keep it easy on yourself, right? Start with one goal. And your plan needs one primary goal to focus your marketing. And you could do the rest of them if you're already, but just, if you're just starting out, make it easy, right? What do you want to do? What's your goal? Do you want to increase leads, get more calls, grow your orders, it might be both. Some of you might have storefronts. You want foot traffic, improve your repeat business, right? We want to have people coming back, right? And you get reviews with that. Build email lists for consistent sales, right? And it says here, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So figure out what is it that one thing. Most are saying, we just want more money. We want to make more money, right? What does that look like? To say, I just need to make more money. Is it increased leads coming in? Is it more foot traffic? What is it? What does that look like? And really putting solid numbers on it. And I always, this is kind of going off grid here with my class, but I learned to do this with a colleague of mine. She teaches how to delegate, and where your steps when you're getting ready to delegate. And the first thing, basic math thing, is to figure out how much revenue you want to make every year. What does that number look like to you, right? That would be enough for your business. If you're, say, a solopreneur on your own and like, hey, I need to make money. I have to pay my personal bills, pay my rent or mortgage, and pay for everything and save for retirement. So what does that number look like? I'm just going to make up a number here. So let's just keep it simple. Let's just say, okay, I need my annual revenue to be $100,000, right? And then you figure out, well, how many hours in a month right? Or so you could break it weekly and then add it the month. How many do you want to work? Like realistically, we'll say, well, I'd like only to work, I only like to work 5 hours a week, but say I work, I'm going to say I'm going to keep it to 40-hour work week. Good luck as an entrepreneur. So 160 hours a month, add those numbers up. So take all those hours and then take that number, the revenue number, divide it, and that's your hourly rate that you need to make for all those hours. So let's just say, I'm just making up the number because I don't do math that quickly, but let's just say 100,000 and you had whatever hours you figured out. Maybe it comes up to like $50 an hour. So you need to generate $50 an hour to bring that in. So if you're doing a job with somebody who you could pay for $25 an hour, say a bookkeeper, or social media person for $30 an hour, whatever those numbers are like, but you're supposed to be making $50 an hour for all those hours. Then figuring out, what do you need to do to make those dollars? How many products you need to sell? How many services you need to book? If you have multiple services, how many of each one at what revenue? So, I learned that simple math like many years ago through a women's business center. Somebody was teaching a class on figuring out like what your revenue and how many hours and what your hourly rate should be. Just figuring that, sometimes we just say we just need to make a couple $100,000, but we have no idea how we're bringing that in and how many hours that's going to take. So definitely figure out that. So a little side math thing, right? And then when it comes to, I say the most important part of your marketing plan is figuring out who is your customer, right? And everyone is not your customer, right? And if you're trying to market to everyone, you're probably going to have weak messaging. Again, you're trying to talk to everyone, and that means probably talking to nobody. Higher marketing costs because you're trying to reach everyone, and you'll probably have a lower conversion, right? Because again, you're not speaking to anybody in particular. So definitely pick your best fit customers first, and then you can expand. I hear that all the time, like, oh, I don't want to leave anybody out. I can help everyone, right? But can you narrow it down from fishing in the ocean to fishing in a pond? So I'll give you an example. Like, say my business, I could help everybody in the room with marketing. And you saw my list, I probably almost every industry at this point. I could say, well, instead of helping every industry out there, I'm only like I had just did wine marketing before. I could say, oh, I'm just going to work and do dental marketing. Or I could break it down like, well, I only work with businesses that are, revenue under $1 million or over 5 million or have certain size. So figure out like what really, would be the ideal audience for your business, right? And creating buyer personas, right? And the reason that you want to create them, as I'm mentioning, right? You definitely have a better customer understanding, right? So, and then once you do, you could tailor your marketing strategies to them, maybe improve product development if you really understand what your customers are looking for, right? Increase sales efficiency. If you do have a sales team, they need to understand who the buyers are. So when they go out and they need to talk about your know your customers and what their motivations are. So definitely help your sales team. To give you an example, I talked to a gentleman. He attended one of my classes, and we did a strategy session after. And he was sharing with me, that a very, very, very specific industry. And he mentioned that he had spent a lot of money on marketing, didn't go anywhere. He had a really good salesperson. He would gung ho, go out there and, pound the pavement and go talk to people, but he wasn't really converting sales. And the owner I was talking to kind of admitted that it's like, well, maybe I didn't give him the right tools, how to talk about the product or service that he had. That was very specific, and you really had to educate the potential customers on why they needed to have this particular service that they had. But he kind of sent the salesperson out there, like really knew how to go out there and like I said, pound the pavement and shake hands, but didn't really have the right messaging to explain like why they needed to buy that service. So definitely, hopefully, customer satisfaction retention, if you're giving them specifically what they need, right? So that's the most important there. And I like that everybody is sharing in the chat here. Very good. And you'll get the chat file, so you don't have to worry about clicking on everything before we leave the room. You can also save the chat file for it later. All right, so how to find data to create your buyer personas, right? So where do you go? If you already have existing customers, right, you can carry out customer interviews or surveys if you want to figure out like what do they want, who are they. insights from that sales team if they know like who's out there, hopefully not like that guy. I didn't know he didn't go out there, but he had no idea how to talk about the product and service. There's tons of digital data out there, right? Some of you might be in industry, associations, like there's someone has ICF there. They have data. Your chambers of commerce has data, local data. There is plenty of good information out there. So definitely research, right? We even have AI to use it to do some research as well, or Google it, however you want to do it these days, right? Explore the, gathering buyer persona data for market research, of course, and using, I've asked the robots. Explore the audience of bigger industry players. So in your industry, right, there are might be bigger industry players. Just see what they're doing right out there. To see what their social media looks like. See what their website. What are they promising? What are their problems they're solving and their solutions and what their expected outcomes are. Right. That's part of competitor analysis. And then look at competitor reviews and testimonials. A lot of times they, even in comment sections of their social media, you might get some hints of like what people like or don't like, and especially if you're reading Yelp reviews and like, they always seem to get bad reviews about X. Maybe that's something that we could use as a strength on our side, right? Or they get tons of great reviews because they're great with customer service, or they have this really good food dish, or their hotel is always top notch. So again, look at if you have the reviews out there, competitors, take a look at that. Look at your social media insights, right? There's good demographic information out there, their interests, behaviors, all that. So see what you can find from social media. And then, of course, ask the robots. We have those now, right? Whichever robot you like, Claude, ChatGPT, Google, Gemini, whatever you're using. So this one here, this one prompt, very simple, right? I mean, I know you can get really, really detailed in prompts, but this is a good little exercise to do if you haven't already done it with the AI. So I first go in, like I said, doesn't matter which tool you use, which AI tool you use. Just type in based solely on the content of the website, of this website, and you put in the entire URL, HTTP, etc. Who is the ideal client for this business based on what you read on the website? Now, the purpose of this part one is to make sure that the robot is reading your website correctly, right? So it can go to the website. It can say, like, if it goes to mine here, it's going to show like, oh, it looks like it's a marketing website and they work with small businesses and they do social media and email and coaching and all the things, right? Old marketing is correct. I've in the early days, I go back a few years, early days of ChatGPT when it came out. I was doing this with some clients in a class, a lot, my AI class, and there was a jewelry appraiser here in Los Angeles, been around for many, many years, decades. And we did this little exercise, and her site came up and all had jewelry appraiser stuff, all the stuff, but it came up that her website was about website development and SEO and totally wrong. If you don't have a lot of content on your website, it has nothing to read, right? And determine like, what is it? I had this exercise the other day. I was talking to somebody, and I always go to the website before we have a call, and I just wasn't clear. It was like a lot of text, all the pages, and just so much. And it was like, she has this particular cause, but then I'm like, well, what is she doing to monetize? Like, it was not very clear. So I just like, but I said, I went to Claude and I said, here's the URL. What do you think? What do you think this site is about and what they're trying to do? And it kind of came up with mine. Like, yeah, it looks like she has a cause, but doesn't really show you like what she's all over the place as far as monetizing it. And so when I talked to her, I passed all the Claude information on, like, this is what you need to fix here. So try that exercise out. Then the second part, if it's reading it correctly, and says, okay, it's all about marketing, then you can do a follow-up. Now build me 5 buyer personas based on the above info, whatever number. I just say 5 just to see what works. Very simple prompts. And then you can see what spits out as far as buyer personas and if they make sense to you, on there. Let me see. I have some. Let's see. I picked mature women in tech, but I've been informed by AI this is the hardest segment to sell to. What do I do? That's a good, let's see. What does it say why it's a hard segment to sell to? maybe small. I would assume, you know, tech might be still more male dominated, even though there are a lot of women in tech now. Like I know somebody who throws a women in tech conference. I think it was late last year. I talked to her. I can maybe connect you. But yeah, I don't know. Explain why did chat or whatever AI you use, explain why is it a hard segment to sell to? Harder, like how would you yeah, I'm curious to know why, if you can explain why it said it was hard to explain to get a hold of them. They just don't want to buy anything or what. There could be some reason. I'm curious as to the reasons. They are reluctant to buy according to AI. Huh. Interesting. I did it expel. Oh, hi, Amy. Sorry, I didn't realize it was you. Did it explain any further why they're reluctant to buy? You know, interesting. Now you got me curious on that one. Anyway, so okay, so try that out with AI, of course, figuring out like why they're reluctant to buy. Interesting. So, what is a buyer persona versus a target audience? Right. So, a persona, so we've been talking, it's a specific person, a character, definition, ideal client, details about their habit and work. Right. So, in this case, we have cycling through the video here, but we have Jake. He's 33-year-old. He's a marketing manager. He loves jazz music. I have it memorized now. Here we go. Starting at the beginning again. Works at a marketing manager, big companies, married, likes spending time with his family. He likes listening to jazz music, goes to concerts, and is connected to all social media. And where he works, the board's a little dinosaurish, and so he's having a problem like achieving his goals that he wants to achieve. All right, so very specific. Where a target audience is a more broad definition, as you can see here. We don't talk about habits or a specific person. Right. It's about marketing managers between the ages of 30 and 45. They work at big companies, don't spend a lot of time online, annual salary range, right? So broader, right? So that's persona versus audience. And then how do we deal with B2B versus B2C, right? Business to business versus business to consumer. So if you are business to business, it's all about building those relationships with your target audience, right? You're sharing your subject matter expertise. Decisions are definitely more rationally driven, bigger spend potentially, right? Than say buying a pair of shoes on a consumer side. You tend to focus more on a niche market. So a niche could be like, oh, I only work with HR directors, right? Or only sell to marketing managers, or only, sell to, Fortune 500 companies, whatever your niche is. Tends to be a longer selling cycle because there are more decision makers usually involved in the process. You might be hitting the marketing managers, but they have to run it up to the C-suite to make a final decision on it. But your main goal is to build trust and credibility with your content, right? You got to share, like they want to know, do you know what you're doing? How long you've been doing it? Should I trust you to do it? Right? It's not as easy as business to consumer, where you're building brand awareness across the market. You're focusing on those emotions, impulse purchases, right? Generally a larger scale market than what we talk about, but not everybody, right? Say all, like women in tech or women, that would be business to business, but let's say women ages, 30 to 45, and we're selling them skin cream, right? Tends to be a shorter selling cycle. It's an impulse purchase, usually one, maybe family members involved. And your goal is to create that impulse and urge to buy, right? Here's a pair of shoes, love them, buy them. I don't need to build a relationship with anybody at the company, right? Or all it's, no one has to make any other decisions for me with it. I just like the shoes, I buy them, right? So totally different. And some of you might be a hybrid of both. Maybe have a product that also could be a business to business thing. And that's when we talk about like LinkedIn, like some might be a crossover there as well. So buyer persona is a little bit more. So the 5 buyer persona questions that matter the most, and sorry, my Q&A thing just expanded to the whole screen and covered it up. I don't know why that does that now. There we go. Just move them out of the way. All right. So if you only answer these 5 questions, right? What problem are they trying to solve right now? What outcome do they want the most? What stops them from taking action? Right? What questions do they ask before buying? And where do they go to research and decide? Right? It's all very simple. All of this is kind of repetitive because it's very simple. Right? So what a buyer persona is a specific type of customer, as we explained, with a specific problem, who wants a specific result and makes decisions in predictable ways. Okay. What it's not is everyone, as I mentioned already. It's not just a demographic profile only, And it's not just a made up character with no evidence. And it's not a list of assumptions you've never tested, right? So, and really, you should already know who your buyers are. When you decided to come out with your product, service, do what you're doing, you had to have somebody in mind, like somebody, this product again is for women over 45, or for young kids, or for the senior market, or it could be something that generally might be for everyone, right? Maybe you have a bakery in your place, and like, well, everyone generally, unless unless you have some, can't eat baked goods for some reason, but generally most of us can eat, right? Really all of us can eat. So, but can you narrow that down? Narrow it down would be like people close to you, right? It's close radius to you. But again, this is the most important part of your marketing plan, is figuring out who it is. Why is it that they want this product? Right? So objections that they might have that you have to overcome usually comes down to time, excuse me, time, money, trust, right? Is it too complex? You got to make it easy for them. They fear change, and I've tried it before, right? So your marketing must answer these objections before the sales conversation happens, before the conversion happens, right? I always say with business to business, especially, is whether you're a solopreneur of a business or a Fortune 500 CEO, you always have to come at us with the same propositions. Like, how is it going to save me money, make me money, or save me time? Right. So how can you quantify that with your product or service with them? So you're going to cost them money, because I assume you're going there to like sell them a product or service. But how can you say, well, if you work with me, you're going to save money because people are going to be more productive. I'm going to come and clean up your processes and procedures. So that means that's going to bring more profit to you. So if you can come at them with those prices, keeping those in mind, because if you don't, like, why do they care if you're not going to save them money, make them money, or save them time? Right? And consumers are the same. Like, we want an easier life, right? We want to save money. Of course, we want to make it easy. We don't want to put a lot of, obstacles in front of people to make a purchase, of course. So, got to think about those objections. And then your brand visuals and your voice, right? This is building trust through consistent messaging, visuals, your brand story, your messaging, all of that. So minimum viable brand clarity, one clear logo, right? Consistent colors and fonts. These are pretty elementary things. Consistent photo style. Doesn't always have to be the same, but your look and feel of your brand is important, right? A recognizable tone of voice. You might be a more casual, tone than something a little bit more conservative in nature. So making sure you have that very consistent. So if there's any confusion, confused buyers don't buy, right? So you want to be definitely recognizable, not just have to be perfect, right? And so why do you need a brand story, right? Will definitely set you apart from other brands out there, other companies doing what you do. And when people know your story, right? We're small business owners, right? We're not Procter and Gamble and Starbucks and all the big companies out there. They want to know who you are, why you're doing this business, and they want to connect with you. They want to know why it is that you decided to do what you're doing, right? Different than, like I said, I'm just going to buy my Tide Pods at the store. I don't care about who's the CEO and why they got into this business or whatever, right? So connection means loyalty to your products or service. You're building that relationship, building your brand, right? So definitely it's your uniqueness will come through, hopefully. They want to know, like, what are you, and of course, what are you going to do for them? They want to know who you are, but they also want to know what you're going to do for them, right? So it's important to have that brand story, and everything you do crafts your story. Every touch point that you potentially have with a customer or potential customer. So make sure you're consistent across all of the platforms. So your social media, your website, right? Your marketing materials, your storefront, your materials, your uniforms, your delivery trucks, if you have all of those things, everything you touch. And like I said, if there's any confusion, confused buyers don't buy, right? If your website looks like it was, circa 2000 and late and doesn't match your social media, you change your logo or your colors, right? All those things could lead to brand confusion, right? So, and always use your brand. I always talk about this. Oops, hold on. Went one step ahead. And I don't know if I have it out here. I usually do, but I think I was traveling with them. So I have a name badge and it has my logo. You see the bear on the Golden State Marketing Bear with my name across it, big letters, big white tube to get the big. If you get a name badge, get the 2x3, not the little small one, like it's a 2 or 3 inch by 1 inch, I think. And it has I wear it everywhere you go. Namebadge.com. Okay, it's like $11, I think, for them. Get a couple of them so in case you lose it. But always wear your brand, right? When you're out there, anywhere I go, like if they hand you a little sticker badge or whatever with your name, just throw it away. Put yours. If you have to wear a lanyard with their thing on it for a conference, put your badge on the right side. I learned because when you shake hands, people are going to look to your right side. But anytime I'm out there in public, or it's not public, sorry, go to a business event, and I'm here in Los Angeles, so there's a lot of people here, but guaranteed, anytime I show up in a business event and I'm wearing that badge here, especially locally, it's like somebody will walk up to me and go, I get your emails, because they see the bear on my emails and they see my bear on my chest here. So it's building my brand, right? So every single time, I haven't gone to an event where somebody walks up and recognizes my bear, right? Because I had a touch point in some way with them. So start building your, just a simple little thing, $11. Namebadge.com. Kind of hard to, there is a namebadges.com. That's different, but namebadge.com. I've ordered many badges over the years from them. I don't make any money from them, just 11 bucks or whatever. Make sure you get 2 or 3 because I always misplace them. Keep one in your car. So yeah, always your brand, your brand, your brand. It's all about your brand. So make sure you're always wearing it and making it present, have your cards, whatever you want to do there. So building your brand. So having good brand photography, making sure your branding out there matches to, speaks to your right audience, right? So this here's an example. So this is Janet. I know her personally, so I'm okay to use her pictures. I know the branding photographer, Gina, Janichi Studios, actually just was with her in the Central Coast this weekend, celebrating our birthdays together. And she does beautiful brand photography. So Janet, we're all in a women's network group there. That's how I met them both. And Janet's a life coach. And she had a perfectly serviceable headshot, as you can see here, quite lovely. But I always said it, like I had one too, because I worked for a credit union. It looked like you worked at a bank, employee of the month picture. It worked, but it didn't really speak to her ideal clients that were looking for life coaching help, right? So Gina got a hold of her and zhuzhed her up a little bit and did photography that speaks to her customers, right? So I think she looks much younger here too, right? It's a beautiful picture of Janet speaking to her audience, right? So here's some more pictures of her pose, warm and friendly, and compassion, heartfelt. Now I can sit and look across the chair, and see Janet smiling at me, and I can tell her my life problems. The other picture, I'm like, Janet, do you have some 20s for my 100? Right? The bank picture. So this speaks to who she's trying to appeal to, right? So brilliant photographer. Here's some more of Gina. So I work with this winery, and I was on the Central Coast, actually. I've retired a few years ago and have sold. But back in 2017, when I first started working with them, they had no photography. They didn't have this picture. They had a picture on their website of some wine barrels and old pictures of the owners that didn't even look like them, 10 years later. They were just about to celebrate their 10th anniversary. So we brought Gina in to photograph the party, but then also I said, hey, I need stuff to do their marketing. I need pictures. So we had her come in. We took pictures, of course, of the details of the winery, wine, vineyards, glasses, grapes, all that stuff. And then, of course, we had to have good bottle shots so we could use those for the website and marketing. So we had her do that. And then just, showing up at some events. This is what it was like to, hang out and have a good time and drink some wine and listen to music and eat food. I think these were some special events. The Tuxedoed Crooner was their 10th anniversary party. That wasn't a tasting room regular thing. But, here we are, people having a good time, friends and family, having some wine. Here's some more pictures here. That's the 10th anniversary party on that table, right? And then, of course, the people, right? The owner, Cheryl and Randy, Tiffany, the tasting room manager, people connected with them, right? I know some of you, so there's somebody on the Central Coast, right? There's a couple hundred wineries in a small area, like literally down the road, up the hillside behind them. Lots of places to get the grape juice, right? But people come for the people, right? They could go across the 2-lane highway or around the corner to another winery, but people connected to Cheryl and Randy and Tiffany and the other tasting room staff. They were family after those many years. And that's what they had good wine too, but that's what they cultivated was the people, you know, to distinguish themselves from the wineries down the street, right? And then once you have, and of course, video content as well. I couldn't show video content on the slide presentation, but once you have good photography, you can then create your marketing materials with it, right? So very important to have good brand photography, not just like something you snap with your phone. We can use those. These phones take amazing pictures, but if you can get somebody, you know, of course we do have AI now to generate pictures, but make sure if you can get good shots of everything, your people, your place, your products, your whatever you need, so that you can use them for marketing materials and show, you know, show what they're going to get, you know, there. So pretty easy with wine too, right? People like have a good time. So I want you to share and chat. So what do you think these are? They're looking for one thing, these two brands, totally different, right? One sells tech products, the other selling coffee and drinks and things. What's the one thing both of these have in common, right? So whether you go to a Apple store here in Los Angeles or in Hong Kong or Paris, or a Starbucks here in Los Angeles or New York or Florida or whatever, what do they have in common? I'm looking for one word. And if you want to share it in chat, brand consistency. There we go. Right. So, and then, and I can share who the photographer is if you want to know. She's on the, I'll put it in here. She's Junichi Studios, and she's in San Luis Obispo County. She will come down to LA too if you want to come down to LA, Junichi Studios. So, right. It's consistency, right? So wherever you go, Apple Store, Starbucks, you have a pretty consistent brand experience, right? Well, they're a little different architecture, of course. They're wearing different colored polo shirts at the Apple store. The drinks might be slightly different, but you know when you go in there, that you are going to get what you know you're going to get from any other Starbucks or Apple, right? So we're not multi-billion-dollar brands like they are, but we can learn with from them about brand consistency and that messaging. So we know like whatever the experience is, people are going to have the same exact experience, right? Yeah, people can't live without coffee and computers. Well, I can live without coffee. I have to have my computer. You know, I'm not really much of a coffee drinker, so but right, you know, it's definitely some things we can't live without. I'm a heavy Apple user, and but it's like I want that consistent experience. I know wherever Apple store I go around the world, I know what I'm going to get when I get there, right? It's going to be a consistent, and same with Starbucks as well, right? So how do we talk about our business, right? I call it get to the hand raise message. So where this came from, my business coach, actually, when I was on the Central Coast, she's also on in SLO. So when I had this business coach back in 2019, early 2020, and it was just before COVID hit us, our business coach had encouraged us to have her clients talk to each other and do some networking. So she connected me to one of her business coaching clients. We had a phone call. Okay, so I remember we were on the phone. We weren't on Zoom because it was about a week before COVID shut everything down in 2020. And so we give each other our pitch, right? And I didn't know who she was, what she did, or anything like that. She didn't know who I was. So she gave me her pitch first. And I remember after her pitch, she couldn't see me again. I literally, my hand shot up in the air. I'm like, yes, 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 yes. I want what you're selling. Right. And she was a time management coach, how to, you know, make the best use of your time, which I always like to do that. And I would have signed up with her, but literally the next week COVID hit, and who cares what time was like at that point, right? But can you get somebody to a hand raise, or are you getting them to a head scratch? Right. So we're gonna do a little exercise, quick exercise here. I'm gonna say two different pitches of mine, okay, A and B. I'm gonna say both. After I say both, if you want to put in chat, did one of them get you to a hand raise, and why? Okay, so say A or B and why it got you to the hand raise. Okay, so let's do this. So this is A. Okay, so this is I'm standing up in a group and giving my pitch. So I say, hi, I'm Patty with Golden State Marketing, and I work with business owners and helping them with marketing, such as social media email marketing, website development, public relations, SEO, and promotional products. Okay, so that's A. And then this is B. I said, hi, I'm Patty with Golden State Marketing. I'm hired by busy business owners who wear so many hats, their marketing gets put on the back burner, and all they really want is strategic focused marketing that actually grows their business. So A or B and Y, put the Y with the A or B. Did one of them get there? Some people already know, they've seen this before. Unique and specific, solution oriented, outcome. I know who you're speaking to. Ooh, you guys are going fast. Was more relatable and specific pain points. It talks to me, right? Russ is like raising his hand, or I can't see you raise it. Jeff said, because it's specific about how it will help me. Exactly. It's about you, right? Not me, not like I do. And right, I give you all the laundry list of services I offer. And you're like, okay, great. She does, website, social media, blah, blah, blah. You trust that I've done this for a while. Like if I'm doing marketing business, I don't need to say I've been doing this for 25 plus years. I have a master's in marketing, all about me. So break this down. Okay. So when you're doing your sales, your hand raise message, right? To break it down into who do you help? Okay. What is their problem? What's your solution? And what's the expected outcome? So if I break that B into that again, right? Who do I help? Busy business owners. What is their problem? They have too much going on and the marketing gets put on the back burner, right? The solution, strategic focus marketing, outcome that actually grows their business, right? The other one just said, I gave you the solutions, and I did give you who I work with. I said, I work with small business owners and I have all these solutions for you. I didn't say anything about a problem. I didn't say anything about an outcome, just like, here's a bunch of solutions. And you're like, great. Okay. Well, I probably need those. I don't know which ones. Most people who hire me and work with me, they usually is like, I'm overwhelmed, right? I don't have time to be consistent. They don't care, most don't care what I do for the marketing, as long as I don't do anything like illegal or over their budget, right? I'm going to streak naked down the street with your banner. No, I wouldn't do that. But anything that would embarrass them as well. But it's like, just grow my business, get it done, take it out of my hands. I can't be consistent. I know those are the ones that will work with me. They want to learn it. They just don't have time. They're overwhelmed by it. Those are the things I'm looking for. All right. So when you're doing your hand raise message, what does that look like? Again, who do you work with? What are their problems? What's your solution or solutions? And what's the expected outcome that they can get? Right. So if you want, you're all welcome to, I'm going to put my email in the chat, and that you'll get it as well with the landing page. If you want to email me your hand raise message, and I'm happy to critique it. I just dropped my email in the chat, and I'll send you back my thoughts on it if you have one. Okay, so that's that hand raise message. You gotta have that wherever you're speaking about it. If you're talking about it on your website, wherever, social media, so people clearly understand. And that should be kind of your on LinkedIn, you can have that as your about section, so very clear when I'm going there, like who do you talk to? Who do you want as your customer? And how are you going to help them, right? Solve their problem. Okay, so competitor reality check here. Moving on to competitors. So different people you're competing against, right? Direct competitors, because you have the same exact offer, like wine, like you're competing against wine, right? Doesn't matter what pricing and all that, everybody has wine. Indirect competitors are a different offer, maybe same need, right? The do nothing option, right, is something they just delay, maybe they DIY it, they're kind of avoiding doing it. Right. So your goal is to understand what others claim, so your message is sharper. So, right, you can do what's called, I think it's coming up here. We'll talk about SWOT analysis and all that. So when you're doing competitor analysis, find a couple of competitors, up to 3, right? And then look for, get to their websites, their social media, their marketing materials, whatever you can find on them, and look at what they're promising, right? Do they clearly say, we help you with this, right? How do they talk about how they help? What is their proof? Look for those I mentioned earlier. Look for their reviews, their credentials. Do they share case studies that you can look at, right? References, whatever they have. What are their weaknesses? What do they don't do well, right? Again, you can look at those reviews and comments and things, see if there's anything that pops up that people are complaining about, right? And what is your edge? What do you do better or differently? This kind of breaks down the SWOT analysis here, right? Has anybody here in the room ever done SWOT? You ever swatted your business? Say yes in chat or raise your hand. And at least, and how many times? Okay. Yep. Okay. We have one. All right. Perfect. Yes, yes, yes. We got a lot of swatters here. I like that. Now, let me ask all these swatters, how many times have you done a SWAT? And I already got one. Francis said annually. You SWAT 3 times a week? Wow, that's a lot of swatting. Okay, that's good though. All right. And then anybody else? Okay, so we have need to biannually, have a lot of products. Yeah, so definitely important every 6 months. So come up with a cadence that works for you. Things change. Like I mentioned, like on that reasons to have a marketing plan, where I said you can, keep up with what's going on, the weather changing, the economy, lots of things can affect the, so it's always a good idea to come back and look, if things have dramatically changed, if you change product or services, right? COVID changed a lot of things. Here last year here in Los Angeles, right? January, we had fires, right? And I'm like a few miles away from the Palisades fires. I had customer. I was on the trickle down of every problem we had last year. We had ice raids, and then we had, just the economy and tariffs, everything going on, and everybody I worked with was affected by one or the other, or all of them. Right. So there was a lot of pivoting going on, a lot of changes, looking at your strengths and weaknesses, what opportunities were out there. So definitely important to look at all of these things. What do you do well? What can you confidently claim? What should you work on, right? Your weaknesses, what you stop promising or improve upon? What opportunities are out there? Are there growing demand for things? Any trends? Just being careful with trends. So sometimes trends come and go quickly. Right. Don't stock up on something because it's the latest trend and then realize, oops, that's gone now. And what are your threats? What blocks trust, your budget, attention, etc. So however you want to do it, a lot of you have already done it. So no, just, you have these 4 boxes, figure that out and see, can you turn any weaknesses into strengths or opportunities? Look at it and look at the information and go, what can I do with it? Yeah, okay, I need $30,000 to get this piece of equipment so I can expand my services. What does that look like next? Is it like, oh, well, I don't have the 30,000, or is there some other opportunity to get that? Change what you do. So definitely important. So I've got a lot of people already who are doing it, which is great. All right. So your unique selling proposition, right? And why somebody chooses you over the competitors, right? So it should answer, why should I choose you over the alternatives? A good unique selling proposition is specific, credible, easy to understand, relevant to the buyer's problem. I'll show you some examples too. So here's a formula for an USP. So I'm trying to move all of the Zoom stuff out of the way so I can read my slides. There we go. They're just like popping up everywhere. Okay. So we help buyer get results by this method so they can, what's the benefit? Unlike the alternative, your competitor, we are different. Why? And here, proven by your proof, right? So the restaurant, we help busy families enjoy a great meal, fast with fresh made comfort food and online ordering, backed by 1,000 local reviews. Professional service, I guess, we help small businesses stay compliant and reduce risk with clear, proactive guidance so they're not scrambling at the last minute. Okay. We help gift givers and find meaningful products quickly with curated collections and fast shipping, so gifting feels easy again. A little different than the hand raised message, but similar, right? I had an advising client, and she had the best. I showed in my LinkedIn class. She had the best about section. I usually go to that section first with people, and it usually has to be changed. Hers was like, I wouldn't change a thing. Her very first line, if I can remember it, was I help businesses realize more profit in their company. Now, wouldn't all of you raise your hand, right? If you saw that, we didn't have to read the rest. She has a pretty long about, but if you didn't know what she did exactly and you just read, I help businesses realize more profit, who wouldn't raise their hand, right? Everybody raise their hand to that. Yeah, hello. So how she does it, right, is she basically goes and she's a business consultant. She goes into the company when there's a dumpster fire already, right? Whether they admit it or not. There's problems going on. There's processes and procedures. So how she's realizing profit or more profit is to fix the mess behind the scenes, right? So it doesn't come out with, like, hey, do you have a dumpster fire going on and you're losing money? And a lot of businesses wouldn't admit. They're like, oh, everything's cool. Just ignore the dumpster fire going on behind me, right? But it was brilliant. It's like, because that everybody would raise their hand. I want more profit. How is that? Now, you might not have a dumpster fire or have processes and procedures, so you might not be her ideal client. But as you read more of that, so her, actually, go back and give you an example for the hand raise message. I usually tell this story. So this was October of 2024. So just remember that date because it's important for the story. So October 24, I was invited to speak on a marketing panel here in LA for the small Little Tokyo Business Association. And there's 3 panels. So after the panels, they had a reception. And so we're, mixing and mingling and having some snacks and drinks. And of course, everybody knew what I did because I was up on the panel. So this gal walks up to me and I asked her what she did. And she goes, "Oh, I do tech." And I'm like, okay, as I'm sitting there thinking, do I play 20 questions? Like, I don't know what tech means. Like, can you elaborate? Gentleman walks up as I'm contemplating going any further, and he turns out it's her boss. They work together, but I didn't know that. And I asked him what he did. He goes, "I get paid to give you back more of your time." And I literally, because I remember the other coach thing, I literally I whipped my business card out of the pocket. I'm like, "Here, wait, you can save me time? Like, how? Time is more important to me than money. Sometimes I can make more money. I can't make more time." Right. So I gave him my card. I gave him my digital card where it's, exchanging all the things. And it's some software thing. Right. A third gentleman walks up, unrelated, and he asks the gal what she does. She's still stuck with, "I do tech." And then the other guy, he said, "Well, I do software." And I said, "No, no, no. Tell him what you just told me." He's like, "Oh, yeah, I get paid to give you back more of your time." I'm like, "That's your pitch right there." Now, the only problem with that whole thing, remember October 2024, and we're now June of 2026, I have yet to hear from the guy. I gave him my cards. He got my digital card as well, everything. I didn't think I should have to call him. Right? Fortune's in the follow up. Never got to save the time and give him some money to save my time and use his software or whatever, but make sure you follow up. But again, right, your messaging is very important there. So very clear, unique selling proposition. And then in my old marketing class, I have some examples of it, but you want to just make sure, what is it that differentiates you from your competitors out there, right? And then the stages of the customer's journey, right? So how do you reach them in those stages, right? They don't buy instantly. They go through these stages. They're awareness. I have a problem. I need to solve it, right? Whether it's like I'm hungry or my microwave broke and I have to get a new microwave. That just happened. Or I need to save some time. I need to find somebody to help me be more productive, and hopefully they'll follow up. Right? Consideration. What are my options? Right? I'm looking around. I'm doing some competitor research, perhaps. I'm looking at the best price and all the different bells and whistles and features. Don't try looking for a microwave. The less money you spend on an appliance seems like the more time you spend on decision-making process. I just had to get a new microwave here. And then who do I trust to help me with this? Right? So your plan should support all 3 of those, of course. What are the things that you can do, right? You educate them in the awareness stage, name the problem, teach them some basics, maybe some quick tips and insights. Now they have to consider, explain your approach. Why is it that you are the best option for them? Because, hey, look at the proof. We have great reviews, right? Here's some case studies. You're credible, address those objections, of course. And then once you're trying to convert them, I always want conversion. Is it a clear offer? Is there a clear call to action on it? Are there any risk reducers like guarantees or get a consultation? Make it easy for them to purchase, right? If you don't have a website that, has a shopping cart and you're selling products, you're like, "Oh, I'll just have them come. I had somebody just come to my Instagram and go to my messages and tell me what you want." And I'm going back and forth to get like a little hair product or something. And I'm like, "You need a website. I need to be able to do this myself at 3 o'clock in the morning, not come back and start, chatting via IG. And how do I give you my credit card? I'm not going to type it into your IG messages. Make it easy for people to make that purchase and sell, right? And then having a channel plan, right? How are you going to talk to your ideal customers, right? Where, right? So where your buyers already pay attention, you should know. And I teach a social media class, and I specifically talk about like who's hanging out on which social media platforms, right? Not all of them are appropriate for you. Pick 1 to 2 primary channels and a support channel. So one primary could be your social media or networking, right, in person or online. Email list, very important, best ROI of any marketing tool out there. And maybe an optional could be you have a blog, you have partnerships, you do events, or all of the above. Figure out what's the, we say, the lowest hanging fruit for you. Don't make it hard for you to get money. Like, oh, I'm going to go out there and network, or I'm just going to focus on social media, which is a very slow burn. It's going to take a while. Maybe it's like, okay, I have a colleague slash friend, and I'm helping him market and get his business consultation business going again. And he needs to make money quick. And I'm like, well, what do? We have to get your website up. You should be teaching, to going to some classes that could get you right in front of your ideal customer, rather than like, yeah, we'll build up your social media and have you get your LinkedIn going. And what can we do to monetize this right away for him? So what is it that can make you the money the quickest, and then do the rest, right? Pyramid style, top top money earners down to the bottom, right? And have a plan in place, right, to get your social media, your email, everything done, right? So have the right tools in place. Consistency beats, say, intensity. I also say being prolific, right? So you could do like so here's an example of a plan: one awareness post, educate them; a consideration post, what makes you different, special, right? A decision post, an offer, right? We don't want to be all sell, sell, sell. And maybe it's an email, a nurture, and an offer. So figure out what that cadence, it could be all of the above. Have a social media plan, have an email plan, blogging, text marketing. So if you're interested in my calendar, it's a Google Sheets document. It syncs all of the above, all blogs, emails, social media, everything on text marketing on there. You can download it. It's at the bottom, goldenstatemarketing.net/calendar. And if you stay on my list, you'll get the 2027 calendar in October. So, but use any tool that you have to plan all of your content out, of course, very important. And we're almost done. We have a few more. We'll go a few minutes over here. So measuring, looking under the hood, right? If you don't measure, you can repeat mistakes, right? We don't want to do that. You should track these consistently. Your traffic and reach, attention you're getting, the engagement. Is anybody clicking, replying, saving it, and engaging and getting reach? Converting, big thing. Are they doing the thing you want them to do? Are you getting leads? Are they booking calls? You're getting sales, downloading the thing, whatever it is you're trying to get them to do, of course. So optimize one of these variables at a time. Is it as you're looking under the hood, is it the message? Is it the offer, perhaps? Maybe the channel you're on, whichever marketing channel you're using, or do you have the right audience? Right? Look at it like I was working with a men's health clinic, and it's like their messaging was very watered down when I met them, and for their specific audience, men. I thought it had to be a little sharper, more specific, right? You don't just say they don't read minds. I heard that from men a lot. I don't read minds. Got to be very specific what you want. So I told them you have to be very specific and be very clear about the offer. Don't be afraid to give them an offer. Don't be like, send them to a sales page or a booking appointment page. Not like, oh, here, just go read some information. And, maybe, someday if you want to come talk to us. No. Right. Very clear. Do the offer. What is it? Book a call, come see us, whatever, buy the thing. Right. So be very specific about that and measure that and see what's working. Right. So before you spend any time or money on marketing, ask yourself this: do you know who your best customers are? Your best fit customers are, I should say, the top ones. Do you know what problem they're trying to solve right now? Can you explain what makes you different in one sentence? Right. And is your message clear? Is it about you? Right. This is the hand raise message instead of about them. Right. Are you showing up consistently where your buyers actually pay attention? That's knowing the channels there are. Do you know what you're tracking to measure success? So again, if you answer no to any of these, your marketing plan is the next step, and that's why you're here. And you're also all welcome to schedule a marketing plan clarity session if you have any marketing plan questions or marketing in general. I'm happy to answer them in the 30-minute call. So you can go to that QR code or go to callwithpatty.com and schedule that. And I'm happy to talk to you about that. Send me your hand raised message via email. This will be in the landing page as well if you don't capture this here. So this was just 60 minutes class. Michael asked about that. Used to be longer, but now SCORE is cut down to 60 minutes. I'm just answering the questions here real quick before we go. How do you create a pitch when you have several personas who serve with different problems, individuals, nonprofit? Well, it might be a different pitch for the different audiences. I'd have to know more. I don't know who this is under anonymous, but I have to know more on, you have individuals, nonprofits, and businesses, how to tie, you could potentially tie that together. So, unless there's a need, if you're speaking specifically to the nonprofits, have a hand raised message for them and individuals. And, so if you want to follow up with me and schedule a call, we can talk about that. Happy to answer that. So if I own a company, should I market how I as an individual can help them, or as we as a company can help them? That's up to you. I mean, if it's, I will say, like, yes, I'm with Golden State Marketing. I'm going to help you with your marketing. I don't necessarily say we as a company. It's it's kind of, I help, we help. I think it could go either way. I don't know if it necessarily matters. If you're just saying I can help you versus we can help you. So it makes it feel like it's bigger, right? Good question. And I think that was it. I don't see any in the chat, right? All questions answered. Anything else comes up, definitely schedule a call. Happy to talk to you. Send me your hand raised message. Answer that. You're welcome. So I will go ahead and end it here. I don't know if Scores, you want to say goodbye, or should I end it? There we go.
Thank you, Patty, for another great presentation. And thanks everybody for attending. We hope to see you at another SCORE workshop very soon. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.